2:17 a.m., August 12, 1964. A private training room above a storefront gym in Oakland, California. The street outside is quiet in the way cities only become quiet after midnight. No traffic, no voices, just the distant hum of a transformer and the occasional metal creak as the building cools. Inside the room, the lights are low. One bulb hangs slightly off-center, casting shadows that stretch and distort across the wooden floor. The air smells of dust, sweat, and old canvas. On the floor, two men are already breathing hard. One of them represents certainty. Massachusetts' proven methods. A body shaped by repetition and pressure. He is heavier, broader, confident in the simple mathematics of weight and leverage. His world is built on pins, holds, and the belief that gravity always wins. The other man represents something far less visible. He is smaller, lean, almost fragile by comparison. His reputation, at least in this room, is theoretical. Stories, ideas, a way of moving that does not announce itself. Bruce Lee is on his back. His shoulders are pinned. His hips are flattened. A forearm presses across his chest, not violently, but decisively. The grappler above him adjusts his balance slightly, settling in, letting his weight sink. This is not a scramble. This is control. Anyone watching would already know how this ends. Strength versus technique is one thing. Weight versus air is another. This position is supposed to be final. Around them, a small group stands in silence. No cheering, no instructions, just attention. The kind of attention that sharpens when people believe they're about to witness a limit. The grappler exhales through his nose, steady and relaxed. He has done this many times. He knows what resistance feels like. He is waiting for it. Bruce Lee does not resist. His arms are not pushing. His legs are not kicking. His neck is not straining. His face, half lit by the bulb, shows no urgency. His mouth is slightly open, breath slow, almost casual. That is the first thing that unsettles the room. Because this is the moment where effort should appear, it doesn't. The cultural context matters here. In the early 1960s, combat was being divided into neat categories. Boxing was boxing. Wrestling was wrestling. Judo had rules. Karate had lines and forms. Each discipline protected its territory, its methods, its hierarchy. Power was measured by visible output, force, speed, dominance. Bruce Lee was already disrupting that separation, but mostly in conversation. On paper, in notebooks filled with crossed-out ideas and rewritten principles. To many, his thinking was interesting, but untested. And here he is, under a man whose entire system is designed to make thinking irrelevant. The grappler tightens his position slightly, just enough to test. Bruce's chest compresses. The air leaves him in a quiet sigh. Still no struggle. Second stretch. The room grows uncomfortably quiet. Someone shifts their weight near the wall. Another folds their arms. The silence begins to feel like a question with no answer. Then something subtle changes. Not position, not pressure, timing. Bruce Lee's breathing shifts by a fraction. Slower, deeper, as if he is not reacting to the weight, but absorbing it. The grappler notices it too. His brow tightens for just a moment. He presses down harder, expecting the usual response. Muscles against muscles. Panic. A bridge. Anything. Nothing comes. Instead, Bruce moves one shoulder. Barely. Not up. Not out. Just enough to change the angle where bone meets bone. The pressure on his chest redistributes, almost imperceptibly. The grappler adjusts, correcting without thinking. He leans in. That correction is the opening. Not a gap you can see. A gap you feel only after it is gone. Bruce's hip rotates a few degrees. Not a buck. Not a roll. A rotation so small it looks accidental. His spine aligns differently against the floor. His rib cage expands on one side, creating space where none existed before. The weight above him shifts again. The grappler frowns now. His breathing changes. He tightens his hold, but the leverage feels off, as if the floor itself has tilted slightly. Bruce's hand slides, not pushing, just relocating. His fingers find the mat, not to drive, but to sense. This is not strength. This is listening. The room leans forward collectively, though no one realizes they have moved. The grappler presses down harder, committing. He is now trying to win, not just control. His confidence becomes effort. Bruce exhales. On that exhale, his body seems to thin. His torso settles flatter, longer. The pressure that was once centered now disperses across angles the grappler did not plan for. Another micro-adjustment. Another shift. Another breath. Then, very suddenly, the pin is no longer a pin. The grappler is still on top, but the certainty is gone. His weight no longer lands cleanly. His balance feels delayed, like sound traveling through fog. Bruce's knee appears where it shouldn't be. His hip turns, not explosively, but inevitably. The space he created a moment ago becomes a path. The grappler tries to follow, but he is already behind the movement. In less than a second, the pressure collapses. Not with a reversal, not with force, with absence. The grappler finds himself off balance, posting a hand to avoid falling. Bruce is no longer pinned. He is no longer underneath. He is sitting upright, calm, breathing evenly, eyes focused but not aggressive. No strike is thrown. No submission is applied. The confrontation dissolves. The room stays silent. The grappler blinks, confused. He looks down at his hands, then back at Bruce, as if expecting an explanation written somewhere on the floor. Bruce Lee simply stands. He dusts off his shirt, slow and unhurried. There is no triumph in his posture, no declaration. He looks less like someone who has escaped and more like someone who has finished listening. The aftershock moves through the room in waves. Someone exhales audibly, realizing they have been holding their breath. Another shakes their head, not in disbelief, but in recalculation. What they just saw does not fit into the categories they know. There was no demonstration of superior strength, no technical showcase, no named technique to point to, only the quiet collapse of an assumption. That weight equals control. That pressure demands resistance. That weakness must fight back to survive. Bruce's explanation, when it comes, is not technical. He does not name joints or leverage points. He does not describe angles. He speaks softly, almost to himself. When you meet force with force, he says, you double the problem. He gestures toward the floor, tracing an invisible shape with his foot. Pressure is not something you push against, he continues. It is something you let pass. The grappler listens, nodding slowly, though his expression suggests he is not yet sure what he agrees with. Bruce looks around the room, meeting no one's eyes directly, yet somehow addressing everyone. Control is not holding, he says. Control is knowing where not to be. There's a pause after that, a long one, because what he is describing does not belong fully to wrestling, or striking, or philosophy. It sits between them. In the days that follow, the story spreads, but unevenly. Some versions exaggerate. Others dismiss it entirely. A few insist it never happened at all. There is no recording, no photograph, no official account. Only the residue it leaves behind in the minds of those who were there. Some argue it was simply good grappling. Others say it was something closer to timing or sensitivity or an early expression of ideas that would later be formalized elsewhere. And some insist it was neither, that it was not about technique at all, that it was about relationship, between weight and space, between effort and outcome, between the need to win and the willingness to adapt. Bruce Lee never refers to the moment as a victory. In later conversations, he speaks instead about alignment, about efficiency, about removing what is unnecessary until only function remains. Strength, he once says, is useful, but it is never the point. What remains unresolved is the paradox. How someone appears weakest at the moment they gain the most control. How pressure becomes useless without resistance. How dominance dissolves when it is no longer acknowledged. Was it grappling? Was it philosophy? Was it simply an unusual moment, misunderstood after the fact? The world never fully agrees. And perhaps that is why the story survives. Not as proof, but as a question. If control does not come from force, where does it come from? And if you were pinned, truly pinned, would you know how to disappear without moving? If you've ever trained, watched, or believed in one way of fighting, ask yourself this: was what happened here technique or something beyond it? Share your interpretation in the comments.